Today I'm going to be going over what I truly believe to be the best map farming strategy in the game right now. In my opinion, what makes a map farming strat a contender for the best are a few things. Number one, it has to reach or get close to reaching the 1 tier 17 drop per map. Right now the only two popular strats that do this is Magic Blight and Kalguran map farming. The next point that makes a map farming strat good is its cost efficiency. Blight would fail this since it's around a divine and a half per map to run. And the third point that makes a map farm great is the loot that it drops outside of dropping only maps. Kalgura map farming would fail this too, since it's light on loot outside of pure map drops. So today I'll be going over a strategy that ticks all three boxes. In 50 maps I dropped 49 fortresses, 64 tier 16.5s. I made over a divine profit per map, and I'm not even sure if this strat is properly optimized yet. I didn't even opt into running Bismuth or But You Could. The setup I ran gave me some incredible returns, so I'm sharing it as it is right now. The strat is fairly difficult though, so be warned. So, what strat am I talking about? It mainly revolves around Harbinger, which, in my opinion, might just flat out be the best mechanic in the game right now, outside of maybe Blight and Ultimatum. The amount of loot it drops is sort of reminiscent of last league. It's as if it just completely ignored the ground loot nerfs. For the investment that I was putting in at around like 50 chaos per map, with more than half of that being spent on the map itself, meaning the scarabs were dirt cheap, I was getting back like a divine profit per map, which is incredible. We run one cartography scarab of escalation, one regency scarab, two regular harbinger scarabs, and the fifth slot, it's sort of a flex slot. I tried 25 with the nemesis and 25 with the wisps. Nemesis, it got buffed recently. It had its limit increased from 1 to 2 in a patch, and their price ballooned from like 5 chaos each to 20. So I thought I had to switch to wisps as a cheaper alternative to prove that this strategy is still incredible even without Nemesis, and it is. Wisps actually made me more money than Nemesis at a tenth of its price, but I do think Nemesis is overall better. You could possibly run the Beyond Scarab of the Invasion as your fifth Scarab slot, and you could possibly run double Nemesis. You'd have to sacrifice one Harbinger Scarab, which you would feel that in the map, but it could be very good. It's something that I sort of want to test further, and I might end up putting an updated video out soon on it, but right now I haven't tested it yet. And then we run any good tier 16.5 that drops the fortress. I opted for Dunes since, as always, it's the most accessible, has a decent layout, and has good divination cards. Mesa also ticks all of these boxes, but you could boss rush it and cause no boss altars to spawn for your map, which is very good, so you'd probably pick between those. We roll for 100% more maps, which is a bit stricter than 50%, and it will cost a bit more, but it is worth it. We run Harbinger on the map device, which I know might shock some people since every strategy these days takes settlers for the bismuth. We don't care about bismuth one bit for this strategy. It might be something in the super min-maxed version, but this is very good without it. We chisel our maps, we add a Deli Orb, which right now the Diviner's Deli Orb are literally paying you to use them. They cost 9 to 10 chaos. In this strat, you get 9 stacked decks back per map. Stacked decks are 1.5 chaos each. It is a no-brainer to use these. I literally made profit from them when the goal is just to juice our map with them. And finally, we take Beyond on the Atlas tree. I'll get into the Atlas tree in a bit, but let's talk about first how to run your maps. Now, as for running your maps, there's a couple of things you could do to maximize your returns if you have a fast mapping build, which is recommended and almost needed with Harbinger. Then you could quickly walk through the entire map, casting your kinetic blast or whatever, and kill every regular pack in the map to get as many altars as you can before fully clearing all of your harbingers. This was just too much work for me and not enough gain, so I just cleared the map normally. Since we don't run bismuth, there's no hunting for bismuth before clearing your map, which makes clearing the map as you go much more attractive. But if you want to maximize it, you could just quickly run through it, get all the altars, and then do your harbingers. And as for Breach, Breach recently got buffed and it actually drops a decent amount of maps and is worth doing. I don't think the buff was that good, but for map farming, it can still drop a couple fortresses here and there. Aleph is now better than the regular Breach encounter, in my opinion, and Hive is still better than both of them, since your fifth Scarab slot is either Nemesis or Wisps, and since you're running Beyond on your tree, you're actually juicing Breach itself a fair bit with those, so it is worth doing with the strat. If you've already dropped a fortress, I honestly would not bother running the Hive though, the Hive Fortress. Only run that if you're still hunting for your first fortress drop off the map. And now on to the Atlas tree. First off, the definitive versions of any Atlas trees that I go over will always be in my description and in the Google Docs right here, just in case I make some mistakes in my video or tweak some things after that I think work out better. So always follow those and not the one in the video. But as for the Atlas tree, it's pretty simple. We want to take Beyond to get 100% Beyond chance. We also take this just because you get a decent amount of tainted currency. We want to take all of the Harbinger nodes, all of the map nodes, all of the map modifier effect nodes, Harbinger map nodes right here. We take Eater of World Altars because we want map duplication chance and just in general increased quantity. Harbinger shards do not scale with quantity, they don't scale with pack size, so all of that is useless for that. You will get a decent amount of fracturing shards from this strategy, even though you're not juicing for the shards, but you're getting the main focus of the loot is pretty much everything else that does not come from the final Harbinger kill, so we do want to juice our map as much as possible for that. We take this Beyond cluster up here, we take all the quantity in the middle. We chuck on some Scarab nodes just because you're dropping a decent amount, especially if you run the Nemesis Scarab. Because of this right here, you will be dropping more Scarabs than most other strategies, even though this is not, tailored towards Scarab farming. We take map modifier effect, we increase our chance for tier 16.5s up here, map modifier effect, and increase our chance for rare scarabs. Again, this will be in the description and it will be in my Google Docs. Lastly, onto the loot, I have this little breakdown here that will just be linked to my Google Docs, but I'm going over the Wealthy Exile mainly. You can see right here, this is the 25 maps that I ran with the Nemesis Scarabs. I made 39 divines. This is pre-investment, so revenue, not profit. You can see down here, 17 divines from maps, and then more than half of my other loot was gotten from currency, it was gotten from scarabs, and it was gotten from divination cards. The 25 wisps, again, 18 divines from maps, 16 divines from currency. So my currency for this one was much, much better, but my fragments were much, much worse. You can see right here, 7.5 divines in scarabs versus 4.8 divines in scarabs. So Nemesis better for scarab farming, wisps better for currency. Maybe a combination of the both minus one harbinger scarab is very good, but wisps, I made 44 divines from that, and in total, I made around 84 divines. The profit was something like 55, 56, 57 divines once I had minused my investment, and the maps were not at all hard to run, well, long to run. It was 55 divines for a few hours of work. If I ran this all day, I could have easily made 200, 250 divines profit over the course of a day. The strategy is incredible. You can see it down here if I just select it by all. So here's all the loot from the 49 fortresses, which is just below that 1 tier 17 per map threshold. If you're reaching 49 fortresses over a 50 map sample size, that is incredible, especially for the investment we're putting in. 38 favored originator maps. I had dunes, so we almost fully sustained the maps that we were putting in. It's like 20 chaos for these dunes, which is very nice. You'll get a lot of fracturing shards. If you run the stacked deck Deli Orb, you will get a lot of stacked decks. Again, it will just completely pay for the price of the Deli Orbs. You get a lot of bubblegum currency. Free Divines is pretty good. I think all three came from the Wisps, or at least two of them did. We got an Enlighten, we got a bunch of bubblegum currency scarabs, whatever. Overall, 84 divines, it was like 55 divines profit, over 1.1 divines profit per map. A few minutes per map, it was a very good strat. And I'll just end this video with an example map that I recorded as I talk about this league and the recent patch. The recent patch is a weird one. It was sort of a loot patch because the state of loot is not great right now, but they focused on buffing the strategies that are good. Blight got buffed, the Bloodline Scarab got buffed, which in turn buffed the Ethereal All-Flame farming strategy. Titanic got buffed, which again buffs Titanic Blight. And the Scarab of Divinity Scarab farm got buffed. These are all S tier strategies, and they're strategies that these buffs kind of don't do anything for because the margins from the new buffs are just going to get squeezed out, right? The prices for Invigoration or whatever is going to go up. The prices for Ethereal is going to go up, and the margins are going to be very similar to what they were before. It felt like what we needed was less buffs to the top end of stuff and more buffs to the bottom end. It felt like they targeted, players like me, the top 0.01%, and didn't target the people who were actually struggling with just their regular farms, their Abyss farms, their Legion farms, so farming Breach, Alphen Going, just regular loot. I was definitely hoping for more of a raising of the floor rather than a raising of the ceiling. But there's some exciting changes still. I've not tested the profound depth. I'm not sure if it will be that great. I've not tested the Nemesis Scarab change. I'm 100% sure that there's going to be some crazy stuff across multiple strats using two Nemesises. That is by far the most exciting change in this patch. And I've not tested the propagation, although my opinion is it's still not going to be very good. I've tested it a lot previously. 50% more packs affected, and then the two extra mods from Nemesis might be incredible when combined with calcification and meat sacks and maybe petal modifiers, stuff like that. But I don't think it's going to be, an S tier strategy or even a consistent one at all. I'll hopefully try and test out all of the buffs and bring to you guys, my conclusions on them all. If there's anything that you want to see me test out first, let me know down in the description. You can see this map, we dropped a lot of maps, and that is pretty much the video. Consider subscribing if you liked it, and yeah.